Hello and welcome to a special live author event. My name is Mark Leslie Lefebvre, and I am thrilled and honored to have Caro Soles with me in the virtual studio. I'm gonna introduce her, but first read a little bit of a bio of her. So Caro Soles' novels include mysteries, literary, science fiction, and the occasional bit of dark fantasy. She's received the Derrick Murdoch Award from the Crime Writers of Canada and the Stoker Award. Her latest novels include last year's MARLO'S DANCE, which is a crossover police procedural science fiction novel featuring the pleasure-loving dual-gendered natives of the planet Merculian. But tonight, we are excited to talk about her latest novel, Dancing with Chairs in the Music House, which is a literary novel set in a rooming house in Toronto in 1949. Eager to get into this. Caro, welcome and congratulations on the new release.
Oh, thank you very much. I just want to mention one thing. I actually didn't manage to win the Stoker, alas. I was just nominated.
Oh, I'm so. What do you mean just nominated? You were nominated for a Stoker Award. That's amazing.
I'm nominated for lots of awards. I never seem to win any, but nevertheless, it's great to be nominated. Yeah.
Excellent. So you're going to be treating us with a bit of a reading from your latest novel tonight?
Yes, this is from Dancing with Chairs in the Music House.
Okay.
And so shall we just do that first?
Let's pop up the cover so people can see the gorgeous cover for this book. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tuck myself off to the side so people can actually put you on, get you on full stage here.
Oh, great. Okay, this one is the bit that I'm going to read tonight is called Janet's Project. This is when our heroine, who is Vanessa, she's 10 years old and has bad eyesight, and Janet is really her only friend, her only playmate. And so she has got the chance to go over. She doesn't see her that often, but this is one of the play dates that she has with good old Janet. So she goes over there. I usually choose the game, but before I get a chance, Janet announces that the adventure today is gardening. This summer, we're going to have flowers and tomato plants and maybe some potatoes, Janet says with enthusiasm, taking off the big apron she is wearing and hanging it up behind the door. Upstairs, I can hear her mother's sewing machine whirring steadily. Come on, it's warm outside. We don't even need a sweater. Her narrow face is flushed with possibilities. She turns and races down the back stairs into the yard. She calls it a garden, but really it's not. It's just a square of beaten down earth surrounded by a wooden fence and scraggly bushes, churning and turning towards the sunlight. A lilac struggles into bud into one corner. The rest of the bushes look dead. Janet is standing, hands on hips, looking at the yard. It just needs fertilizer, she says firmly. I read all about it in our encyclopedia. How do we get that? Simple. We just follow the milk wagon around, and when the horse does its business, we'll bring it back. See, there's nothing to it. Are you sure? Come on, he always comes around this time on Sundays. She thrusts a shovel at me and grabs one herself, along with a burlap bag she flings over her shoulder. She must have laid things out earlier. I follow her along the lane out to the front and watch as the horse-drawn cart clops into view. I hang back against the fence and the milkman hops off, swinging the metal basket with 4 bottles rattling in it, their fat little necks filled with cream. He exchanges 3 full ones for the empties left on Janet's front step and goes next door with the 4th. I glance at the horse, standing patiently in the shafts in front of the Silverwoods dairy wagon, shaking his head as if he knows what we want and he's decided not to oblige. He's not doing anything, I whisper. He has to eventually, Janet says. She sits on the bottom step beside the milk, elbows on her bare knees, cupping her chin in her hands. I sit beside her, and together we watch the slow progress of the milkman as he clinks his way down one side of the dead-end street and up the other until he stops opposite us at Mingie Moore's house. Mingie's younger than us and boring to play with. He doesn't know how to play our kind of games or plan special projects like this one. All he wants to do is play board games like Parcheesi and Snakes and Ladders, which is all right if you're really desperate, I suppose. He lives with his parents above the garages where 2 gleaming ambulances lie waiting for some disaster to set them into motion. Sometimes when I think about it, it makes me tense. I'm still thinking about Minnie Moore when Janet punches me in the arm. "He's moving," she said, jumping to her feet and heading for the corner. I follow her, feeling nervous as we turn into Jarvis Street. It's the first time I've walked on the street on my own without Mother or Daddy or Jonathan. But I don't want to admit this to Janet, who walks all the way to school alone and is always running errands for her mother. I'm getting more and more anxious as we amble along, getting closer and closer to Wellesley. I'm not supposed to cross the street, I've been told over and over. I'm wondering if being with Janet would count as an excuse when the horse finally obliges with an odoriferous pile that makes Janet caper with joy. But look where it is. Panic makes my voice squeak. The lumpy piles are in the middle of the road. If cars come, it will be flattened. If we try to shovel it up, then we'll be flattened too. Don't be silly. Janet pushes her hair behind her ears and takes a firm grip of her shovel. You hold the bag. I'll run out and get some when the light's green. I don't think, but the light has changed. She darts out and is already on the way back with a steaming load, while my mind stutters to find words to stop her. Easy peasy, she crows. Hold the bag open. I do as she says, and she makes 3 more trips. It takes 2 light changes to get it all done, and between us we drag the steaming sack back up the street, around the corner to Cawthra Square, and along the lane into her yard. Now all we have to do is dig it into the ground, she says. We're trying to do this when Jonathan arrives to take me home. He doesn't say anything until we get to the corner. You stink. He looks at me disgustedly. What were you playing this time, stable hand? For the first time, I notice my shoes and socks are streaked with horse poo, and there are traces of brownish yellow on my wrists and the front of my dress. We were preparing the earth for planting, I say, trying to make it sound important, but it comes out in short bursts as he grabs my hand and pulls me across the street unceremoniously. By the time we arrive at the back porch where Mother is watering the window boxes, I'm out of breath. Look at her, he exclaims, throwing out his hand to indicate my state, covered in horse dung. I am not covered, I say, and anyway, it was for the garden. Mother looks me up and down, wrinkles her nose. Of all the unladylike activities, she scolds, peeling off my shoes and socks. Does Janet's mother know what you were doing? I don't know. I'm suddenly miserable at the thought of getting Janet in trouble, perhaps being forbidden to play with her again. It was just gardening, I exclaim, knowing how much she longs for her own garden. Poor girl won't ever get anything to grow on that dank patch of mud. Go inside and get undressed. You need a bath. A real bath or a sponge bath, I ask. We'll see. Usually, I look forward to having a real bath, but it takes organizing in the music house. Mother doesn't want us holding up the bathroom when others might need it. So right before dinner and right after dinner are right out. It's late afternoon now, so I have to make do with a sponge bath in the small dressing space off the everything room. This tiny place is always filled with the sharp medicine smells of Daddy's ointments and the lotions he uses to dull the pain and itching of his ruined skin. It's like a tiny hospital in here. 2 shelves are covered with bottles and jars and tubes, several pill bottles, rolls of bandages in different sizes. I imagine him in here in the evening, slathering himself with lotions in an effort to smother the flames, wrapping his arms, his legs, his waist with the bandages like an Egyptian mummy. Only under his clothes does he look like a casualty of war. I think of Janet's dad, who was in the latest war. He wasn't a casualty, at least not that I know of, but maybe he too has a secret wound that eats at his flesh, or maybe his brain. It's a new idea, and it fascinates me. Vanessa? I push my glasses up on my nose and realize that Mother has been talking all this time. This is not good. She's examining the clothes I stuffed in the laundry bag. Have you any idea how hard it is to keep clothes clean? Any idea how my hands ache after washing out your blouses and shorts and undies? Come here, look at those socks. I stare down at the streaked yellowish socks and push my glasses up on my nose. I'm sorry. Wash them. She fills the sink with water and plunges in the socks. Rub the soap into them and keep scrubbing until they're clean, completely clean. Do you understand? I nod. She hands me the bar of yellow laundry soap and leaves me alone. It takes a long time. I have to keep stopping to wipe the tears off my glasses so I can see. The socks still don't look really clean, the way they do when Mother does them, but I hang them up on the line on the porch and hope for the best. My fingers are all wrinkly. I go to the living room where Mother is talking to Daddy. I'll set the table, I say quickly. Please do, says Mother, and she gives me one of her piercing looks, as if trying to see through my skull into my thoughts.
That was great. Thank you so much. I have some questions to ask you about that. The first question is, so setting is really seems to be really important for you. This is something that you've done in previous novels. I think it was the previous novel. It was like Turn of the Century, A Friend of Mr. Nijinsky, I think was an example of that.
Yeah, that's right.
How important was setting in this one, particularly, historic Toronto?
Oh, it was very, very important to me because really the house itself, which is, of course, historic, is very important because that's basically her world. She doesn't really, there aren't that many scenes where she isn't in the house. But the ones that there are places, times when she is visiting or going someplace with her brother. And it was a lot of fun to sort of revive my own memories of old Toronto and names of places where she would go, which are no longer there, or they're not there in the way that they used to be. And one of my prized memories is, what was it called now? It was, let me see. I do have a note here about it because I can't remember the name of it. Oh, yes. It was the basement, the Eaton's Annex. That was it. The basement of Eaton's. And they had a wonderful stand there where you get malted milk. I don't know why this is such a big memory for me, but my brother, who was 10 years older and was not always, thinking about lovely little things he could do for me, used to take it there and we would share one of these. And this is one of the memories. I don't think it's actually in the book, but it's one of the memories which I have of that time period. But they do go, she and her brother do go to the Promenade Music Center, for instance, which used to be on Bloor Street.
Right.
And that's in the book. And I remember doing that and sitting in the little booth. So they would put the record on and you would hear it was all, I love doing that sort of thing, just bringing it all back to life for people who are, well, old enough to remember. Or perhaps have read about it. I don't know. But
yeah. The funny memories when you talk about that memory of the malted milk, for example, with your brother, how it just stands out. So there must be memories like that. I know you said you didn't use that in the book, but that there probably were elements in the book that were drawn from your own experiences?
A lot of them. I would say most of them, actually. They might not have happened all at once like that, but practically everything in there is drawn from things which happen, places which I go with my parents, or going to Eaton Auditorium, for instance, for recitals and that sort of thing. And there's a soiree which they have, she calls it the soiree in the afternoon because it's actually just in the afternoon, where people come and my brother's friends come and they play and she sings because she loved to sing. I used to sing too, and we used to do that sort of thing. So there's a lot that's from my own memories because I did know that house. And which was at 519 Jarvis Street, which was where my brother used to go for his music lessons with Mona Bates. That's the one. Yes, that's the way it is now.
Wow. So that's a recent photo of 519.
Yes, there used to be a tree. They chopped the tree down. But anyway, never mind. Yes, I did. When I was writing the book, I actually drove down. And, as often happens when you go and visit places that you remember, it's a bit disappointing. I drove back to sort of see where the garden was. Well, of course, there's no garden back there. It's a whole pile of townhouses.
Oh, where the garden used to be.
Wow. Used to be, and the carriage houses, of course, are all gone, and they're all. So that was a bit. And they've chopped down the tree I used to like to look at. But anyway, yes, so I used to sit on the bench outside and wait for a long time. It seemed to me, and periodically, eventually, as time went on, I got quite brave. And decided to sort of venture forth and leave the bench with the griffins on each side and wander around here and there. And this is where I sort of got a lot of the things which happen in the book.
There's a theory that sometimes that things can live in our memories in such a vivid and powerful way that are sometimes not better than the original memory, but we do such things to those memories with our imagination. So for example, and I know the yard was much bigger before the townhouses encroached, but probably when you were young, it seemed gigantic, and then when you come back as an adult, you go, I could have sworn this was larger.
Yeah, that's true. But,
Yeah.
that does happen too, and you sort of think, oh, I thought this was a very big room. But in this
The
case,
voices, the voices in the passage that you read were very distinct, like the characters. I mean, obviously, you're an award-winning writer. You've been doing this for a long, long time. But were those voices that you were actually remembering from from different people?
yeah, actually they were. And my friend at the time actually was called Janet. Most of the names, one usually changes, but to my horror, but I didn't. But then I realized most of these people are dead anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, they were, and of course, my mother tended to be sort of say things like that, and my brother was very much like the one in the book. Well,
awesome. Now we have a photo of you. Was that
this is me outside that 519 Jarvis Street.
Oh, and that's the photo from way back when.
Well, I hate to say it, but that is 1949. And
okay.
I'd had my hair cut. It was the first time because Vanessa in the book has braids, and I always did too. But unfortunately, I would always wanted the braids cut because I thought it'd be so exciting because Janet had short hair. Anyway, it didn't quite suit me, but nevertheless, that was that. So, yes, on one of our trips to Mona Bates, her name was, the musician.
Awesome. And so this book is talk a little bit more about the book and your publisher, and I'm going to pop the book up again where people can pick this up.
Yes, this is published by Inanna Publications, and you can buy it from Inanna, or you can buy it online just about everywhere, I suppose. Indigo and that sort of place as well, and of course any bookstore. And there's some in the library too, if you want.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, so people can request it, especially when they curbside pickup, or in Ontario with the lockdown we're in. Maybe you can pick it up. Yeah.
It is an ebook form too, if people want to.
Yeah, and this is a handy thing. So if you're watching this and you're interested, Libby is a free app connected to Overdrive. So Toronto Public Library, for example, they just posted a report on, I think it's the record-breaking million downloads for library books in the last year. And if your branch doesn't have that, you can request that they get access to it, and you can download that ebook to your local phone with the free Libby app and start reading Caro's book tonight.
Oh, there you go. It's quite funny. I mean, parts of it are quite funny, and strangely enough, I seem to be writing a lot funnier lately than I used to. And my latest book, which I'm still working on, is just, I think it's quite hilarious, and I don't quite know why. But anyway, so this is amusing because she sees things in such an odd way.
Excellent. And you do, just one last question before we sort of wrap up for the night, is you've written in multiple genres, right? Different genres, speculative fiction genres, crime, and then you've got this literary humor. I'm not sure how to define it. Historic literary humor.
I'm not sure either. Yes, that's true. So I think they just call it, historical literary something. I don't know. Anyway, so there is that, and the one. The other book which came out just recently is the Merculian, is another Merculian book with Marlowe.
A second one?
Yes, this is another Marlowe. This is actually book, let me see, 5 in the Merculians. Wow. It's only the second one with Marlowe. He was a new character who brought some much needed lightness to the series, because the earlier ones aren't as light as that. I mean, they have funny parts, but they're not really, you're not rolling around the floor or anything. Because they're mostly what you might call political thrillers, that kind of thing. Of course, they happen to be in Merculian or some other planet or something, but they're not terribly light.
Right.
But they are now. Merculians are going to have lots of fun lately, so that's an interesting thing. And I guess I'll be doing a reading from the Colony Dancers later.
Excellent. That's something fun we can look forward to. Well, Caro, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing a reading, talking a little bit about this novel, and just enlightening everyone.
Yes, could we just mention that I will be doing the talk and the reading about the Colony Dancers on the 30th?
of May. Okay, 30th of May, 2021. There'll be a link, forthcoming link on YouTube. I'll probably add that link to the bottom of the comments for this, so people who are looking for it can go find that.
Yeah, just thought I'd mention that too. So
Excellent.
something to look forward to.
Awesome.
Well, me look forward to anyway.
Well, Caro, thank you so much for this, and thank you for watching this. And everyone, have a wonderful night.
All right. Well, thank you, Mark. I appreciate this show.